personal conversation with Dara Feldman next. This is America. This is America is made possible by the National Education Association, the nation's largest advocate for children and public education. And it's good to have you here. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, you've won all kinds of awards as a teacher. You were in the classroom for 16 years and then did another 4 years helping out as a kind of a, what is it?
A technology specialist.
Technology specialist. What do you love about teaching?
Oh my gosh. Well, I love the kids, probably the most. And I love actually being able to help instill in them the gifts that they have brought, awaken them, their gifts of character.
Oh, so they bring it to the table already, huh?
They come equipped with everything that they need. And it's just our responsibility to awaken and fine-tune them.
What makes for a good teacher?
You know, I think you need to love what you do and really be authentic. You need to walk your talk and really model and connect with kids. Really need to connect with them.
Kids are very observant, aren't they, huh?
Absolutely.
They know if you're passionate about what you're doing, or if you're just kind of making it through the day.
Yep, enthusiasm is key. You have to have a lot of fun with these kids, and they know if you're faking it.
They do. How are we doing as far as education in America is right now?
Oh boy, you know, I think that everyone's heart is in the right place with No Child Left Behind. I think the intention was good, but I really believe that we're out of balance. We're so focused on academic rigor that we've forgotten about what it means to be a person and focusing on the heart and the hands as well.
Do you think that parents are pushing the kids too hard to be too adult, or is that just part of the age we're living in right now?
No, I think the culture, just the whole climate of the U.S., you know, there's parental pressure, there's pressure from school systems because school systems are getting pressures from government, and, you know, it's all about competition here, where really what we should be focusing on is cooperation and unity, because now the world is flat and we're a global society.
The world is flat?
It's flat.
Well,
Did
of course,
you read
I
that?
always thought that, as a matter of fact, over a long period of time. You know, I read these articles all the time that says that the U.S. is not doing as well as some of the other countries in math and science. Is that a true statement?
You know, I really don't know where they get all of their data from.
Oh, okay.
But I think that we're so focused really on, so driven on the academics that people are stressed out. And when you're stressed out, you can't learn. And
you can't do a good job, huh? Well, talk about stress. Do you think, and I know you've actually won some awards in this area, and you referred to it earlier, that you've been involved in the internet and technology. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing as far as education is concerned?
I think if it's used appropriate, it's excellent. There are a lot of really awesome projects that I did. There's an organization called iEarn, the International Education and Resource Network, and it's a global project that really focuses on helping people. And so bringing people together from around the world, and that's wonderful. To show that, you know, we are all more alike than we are different, but anything can be misused.
How about all the people using cell phones and then little kids running around? They're bugging their folks that they want a cell phone too, and then people spending hours and hours and hours on the computer. That's
too much time. There's too much time. We really need to get back to being community face-to-face, sitting on our front porches and having face-to-face conversations. Cell phones are good when you need them for emergencies, and technology is good in small amounts and very purposeful uses for it, but nobody should be sitting on the computer for hours on end.
When you go into a school that's probably a wealthier school or one that's supported more financially, and you go in and there's like a laboratory and there's all these computers there, that's pretty terrific though, isn't it, for kids to be able to do their research and, as you say, connect with people around the world?
Yeah, absolutely. Technology is wonderful if it's used appropriately. And one of the great things about the educational institution of our country is it really does help to bring access to those kids who we would consider less fortunate. And so we've done a really good job in this country wiring, but it's the professional development that's key.
Oh, for the teachers to learn how to do it.
Exactly.
And to teach the kids properly.
Exactly.
So the adults have to do some schooling as well.
Yes, it's professional development that's really important.
The Virtues Project is of great interest to me. I've been hearing about it for a while. And if somebody, thank you for the little backgrounder on education. I'm always interested in talking with teachers. This Virtues Project, the idea that you can teach virtues in a schoolroom setting just intrigues me. If you had to tell somebody what the project was all about, how would you explain it?
Well, the Virtues Project is more than just professional development, it's also personal development. And it's basically focused on 5 simple strategies for bringing out the best in ourselves and others.
You know, that business about bringing out the best, this came to my mind the other day. I was a couple of weeks ago, I was at a little baseball game. Well, I say a little baseball game. It was a big baseball game, but with the little kids playing.
Right.
And I was amazed and pleased to see, and I forget, you know, I just was knocked out that everything the kids did was praised by the coaches and by the parents. Good eye, good hit, good that, good stop. They dropped the ball and they'd say, good stop. Every single thing that was said, the kid would strike out, they'd say, good eye, good eye, good eye, you know? And that kid struck out, you know, and most people would say, you know, that was a bad thing. Or he dropped the ball or threw the ball over first base when they were trying to, good throw. Every single thing from the parents and from the coaches was positive. Now, my question to the father of the youngster that I was watching, do you think that the parents take that home to all the other things the kid is doing, the youngster is doing, the child is doing? And his response was, I hope so.
Well, may I address the good?
Yeah, please.
So, Dennis, what is good? What does good look like?
Oh boy,
okay,
did I get
and
nailed?
That was a rhetorical question. And so it was interesting. I was with talking to the founder of the Virtues Project, Linda Kavlin Popoff, and we were watching Oprah when she was sharing about her school and the Oprah special, and how all these girls who really persevered through such difficulties made it, and she would be talking to them and she'd be saying, oh, you're such a good girl, you're such a good girl. And we were both going crazy going, what does good look like? These kids have determination, they have leadership, they have perseverance, they are excellent in what they do. And so by naming the specific virtues, it gives that authentic self-esteem instead of saying good, 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 good all the time, because then the kids are like, I'm gonna need more praise, more praise, more praise, more praise.
Oh.
Understand the difference?
So yes, I do understand the difference. And in those strategies, I want to come to the strategies in a minute, but one of the things in the strategies, if I recall correctly, was the language.
Exactly.
The language that the parent uses, the teacher uses, the boss uses, who I guess the president or the government uses. It's how you frame the compliment. Is that? Well,
it's not necessarily a compliment. It can be. And so in the virtues language, there are 3 ways of speaking the language. The first is an acknowledgement, which I think is what you meant. So let's say that, you know, I say, Dennis, may I please have a cup of coffee? You pour me a cup of coffee, and I would normally say, thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
Okay, but I've learned to say thank you for your helpfulness in giving me the coffee, or thank you for your generosity in giving me the coffee. There's something about naming the virtue and the action that you saw with that virtue that makes it real.
Yeah, but how about this? You say to someone that you want to acknowledge, and you say, good job, or something like that. We want to take good out of the vocabulary, but they say, no problem.
Well, what was good about it, though? If you say, thank you for your excellence
yeah, I know, but
I'm
talking about their response is no problem. What kind of a response is that? That's not very esteeming, is it, to the other person?
Well, maybe it's linked to the personal response from the person who gave the response, their self-esteem.
Say that again to help me understand that.
If you said to me, oh, you know, thank you for
So I say thank you for the interview, and you say, no problem. Thank you for the interview. You did.
So you feel like if I said that, I would be dissing you and
no,
being respectful?
No, not so much that, but just they're not acknowledging it for themselves.
Exactly, I
for
think.
themselves.
Right, when someone is like that,
yeah.
it is because they do not feel worthy. And that's a really important piece of why we really need to start speaking the language, because people are so used to the external praise where it's not specific to what's good in everyone, that if we use the language to acknowledge, to guide, and correct, and to thank, those are the 4 types of virtues language uses.
Give them to me again.
It's a virtues acknowledgement.
Okay.
You know, you did an excellent job with this interview. Okay. A virtues guidance. You're welcome. A virtues guidance might be your kid's room is a total mess. You got to get ready to soccer. You know, okay, guys, we need to get out of here cleaned up in 5 minutes to go to soccer. What do you all need to call on? You're giving them the power to choose what they need, and the kids might say cooperation, orderliness. Boom, 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 they clean up and out they go. Instead of saying, hurry, 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 clean up, clean up, clean up. You know, we're trusting the children to know what's right for them. They know what they need to do.
So we got a whole new vocabulary here.
It is.
Did we cover all 4? We covered 2.
So it's virtues acknowledgement, virtues guidance, and a virtues correction. So in a school situation, the principal's standing up in front of the school at an assembly, and the kids are talking, and traditionally we clap our hands, shh, shh, do the quiet sign. If an administrator would say, boys and girls, please be respectful and stop your talking, there's something about that word respect, because it's a virtue. People know what it means, and it calls you to being respectful. Gets quiet. It works every time.
Let's get a couple of facts and figures on the table here. How old is the Virtues Project?
The Virtues Project is a little over 15 years old.
Okay, and how did it come about?
It started when the founders, Linda Kavalin Popoff and her husband, Dr. Dan Popoff, and Linda's younger brother, John Kavalin, who was a Disney Imagineer, were at the Empress Hotel talking about how tragic it is, the state of our world, especially how sad it is that children are killing each other. And they felt compelled to do something. So they took a summer of discernment, and in addition to being a child psychologist, Dan is also a scholar. And so he went back to the cultures, oral traditions, and sacred texts of the world. And what he saw that was common to everybody, all of humanity, were the virtues. So then they thought, okay, we got the virtues. Now what's the best way to instill this and bring them out of children? We're going to go for the families. And so they created these 5 simple strategies and a family guide. And in 2 months, the family guide was in over 20 countries, grassroots, no PR. It was amazing. And then teachers were like, you know, this is really amazing. We want to use this, but you have quotes from sacred texts in there. And that's not going to fly in education. So in 2000, they took out the quotes from the sacred texts, cleaned it up so it was more palatable for educators. Same virtues, because virtues is not religious. It's what's good about all of us. And they created the Educator's Guide. And so now it's in over 86 countries. And my intention is to get this Virtues Project across the U.S. in public schools to help transform education.
Now I want to go back and underscore something, underline something, that even though the original thought was they went to the sacred texts and the religious writings of the various major things, but it's not a religious program at all, right?
Absolutely not. People say, so is this Bill Bennett? It's not associated with Bill Bennett. It's just universal. The difference between virtues and values.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you that.
Okay, virtues are universal truths. If we gave a list of all the virtues and said, does anybody have a problem with these words? Would you like to possess these qualities? Would you like the people that you work with, teach with, your children to have these qualities? Everybody would say, absolutely. Values are culture specific. So what you might value as your organization within your family or your religion, it may be different than what I value.
So what's the purpose of the project overall? Does it cut across, would the same thing go for a family as would go for a school, would go for an organization?
5 strategies are 5 strategies. It's speaking the language, teachable moments.
Teachable moments.
Teachable moments. So instead of saying
That's like the kids cleaning up the room to go to the soccer.
In part, you know, there are no, you know, children are not born bad. Things happen, and it's our job as adults to guide them to learn the life lessons that they're supposed to learn. And as adults, sometimes smart adults make choices that aren't in our best interest or in other people's best interest. So the teachable moment is saying, okay, what happened here? What's the lesson in it? What virtues do we need to grow and develop here? And make a change.
So you got the language, using the right language. You got teachable moments. What else we got?
And then the third one is setting clear boundaries. And it's setting clear boundaries based on restorative justice.
What does that mean in my language?
Yeah, I know. Sorry to give such big words, but may I put it into an education context or with children? So let's say that there was a mistaken behavior. You can either send a child to timeout or to detention. But that doesn't really teach them what was going on or how to change the behavior. And so with restorative justice, this is what it looks like. I know you would never do this, but let's reflect back to when you were younger, out on the playground, and maybe you were really angry with somebody and you punched them in the nose. So you're brought to the principal along with the poor person who's bleeding everywhere. And traditionally, people would be taking care of the bloody kid. I'll get to you later, go to detention. When you use the third strategy in restorative justice, it would be, okay, Dennis, tell me what happened. Oh, you were angry. You punched him because you were angry. What were you angry about? Oh, I could see how that would make you angry. Well, Dennis, what virtue could you have called on so that you wouldn't have punched him? And you might say, self-discipline, peacefulness, or if you didn't, I could offer that to you and say, okay, Dennis, if you were peaceful and you wanted to express your anger, what would that look like instead of punching your friend? And you might say, I'd use my words, or say, you're really making me mad, or whatever. And then the final piece is making amends. And so, okay, here's your buddy. He's pretty hurt. How can you make amends and restore justice?
It's a lot to grab a hold of, you know, and it requires a lot of skill and a lot of teaching, doesn't it?
Not really.
No?
Not really, because what it does is usually kids either act out for attention when they get in trouble, or they don't know what to do in a given situation. So if you take the time to utilize that teachable moment to go through the restorative justice piece, then hopefully they've learned that lesson and can apply to future situations.
A couple of more strategies we have here. Healing, spirit, and
honoring the spirit or honoring the whole child. And that's really about, you know, honoring ourselves as individuals. Who are we? How do we celebrate? How do we honor our successes? How do we have time with nature and reflective time? And
how about when you're with other people?
So it's about school spirit, community spirit. Even at a football game, there's a lot of spirit.
There's one here that I was kind of intrigued with. They call it companioning.
The companioning.
What's that all about?
It's really awesome. Actually, it helps to put the person who would be traditionally the problem solver, if somebody came to you with a problem, in an easier listening, compassionate, and detachment way of being. So for example, you have a problem, you walk into my office, I'm the head of HR, and you start telling me everything that's going on. Traditionally, as an HR person, I'd want to fix it for you. But with the art of companioning, it's listening to you, letting you empty your cup, letting you just go off and, you know, wait until you're at the bottom and looking for sensory cues. Maybe your eyes are welling up and I'm saying, what are those tears for?
So you got to really listen.
Really, it's really just listening. Then saying,
and being detached, so you don't have to fix.
And compassionate at the same time, but asking what and how questions, never why, because you don't want to put somebody on the spot.
What and how questions.
So what was the hardest thing, Dennis, about what happened? How, you know, how do you think we can make this better? And then leading the person out to find their own truth. Again, calling on the virtues. What virtue can you call on? What would that look like? And then giving a virtues acknowledgement. You know what? I really see your excellence and your care with this project. And I know that you have the perseverance to continue to work on it.
Can you really teach people faith and trust and patience and courage? Can you really teach them?
You have these magic cards.
I do have these magic cards.
They are the most life-changing cards ever.
These are the virtue cards,
When
right?
I first saw the virtues cards, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to study them. They're flashcards.
The practice of endurance. Go ahead.
And what I do is I do a virtues pick on a daily basis, and I read it, and it's a reminder of, oh my gosh,
Love is at the center of our being. It is the vital force that gives. So it's a little like a little description, a little meditation.
It's a description, and then on the back there's a quote, and then I'm practicing love if I'm doing this, that.
Oh, we've heard this one before. Love is patient, love is kind. Wow. It hears all things.
And what I think is really helpful is the practice of love. This is what love looks like. I allow myself to connect deeply.
I'm sorry, I dropped.
That's okay.
I dropped.
I commit myself wholeheartedly. I show love through acts of kindness. I accept and appreciate the ones I love. I do the work on myself that love requires, and I cherish the loves of my life. It's a daily reminder.
So 52 cards.
Well, there's 52 in the educator's cards, and the family cards, that's a set of 100.
Oh, it is 100.
And
so this is 100 weeks in the year. There you go.
Well, that's where the 52 came from.
That's where the 52 came.
But you know what? In addition to doing a virtues pick for personal development, if you're in a work setting, working with a team, at a staff meeting, to be able to do a pick and talk about how that virtue connects with each person.
Do you know the phrase cutting the Bible?
Go for it.
You just cut the Bible. You just cut, and they read where they have cut the Bible. So this was the practice of patience. So then you'd pick out this card and read about patience, and then the little daily reminders on your back. On the back of the card, I am helpful and expectant. I do not rush. Well, in this day and age, I do not rush.
Isn't that a good reminder?
Yes, don't rush. Yeah.
I mean, this is the ideal of, we all have all the virtues in us. We have different varying degrees of it.
That's where you started out at the beginning. And the idea is to bring those out of the youngsters in school.
Right, it's to awaken it. And you know what? It's never too late. Because as an adult, it's like, oh my gosh, patience. I got double dose of enthusiasm. Patience is one of my growth virtues. And by reading those cards and reading the other cards, I'm really starting to strengthen my virtue of patience.
Virtues reflection cards. Are these available? Oh, I got to put up a website. I want to put up a website that you can go to get all kinds of information about the Virtues Project. And it's very simple, www.virtuesproject.com. And I suppose if you go there, there'll be all kinds of...
If you go to the Virtues shop, then you can get the Virtues reflection cards.
Oh, that's good.
And
now, talk
books.
a little bit, yeah, if we maybe just leave that up there for a second or so more, if we have time to put it on the screen. Thank you. How about character, and talk a little bit about character and virtues. We just have about a minute or so left.
Well, the virtues are the content of our character. And it's really critical right now in the U.S. that we bring this back into schools to work on performance character and moral character. If we're so focused on the performance character and the academic rigor, we're going to create kids who are really smart but not good, caring individuals.
I was going to say you did a fine job, but I don't want to say you did a fine job. I'm very appreciative for your sharing your wisdom.
My enthusiasm for the Virtues Project.
Your enthusiasm and sharing your wisdom about teaching, about education, about the virtue. You're a facilitator, right?
I am.
So you go into groups and try to get this message across?
Trying to bring this into primarily public schools across the U.S. It's also in non-public schools and faith-based organizations, businesses, communities. But my personal intention is to bring balance back into education with the Virtues Project 5 strategies.
And do you teach the youngsters or teach the teachers?
We do both, but really if you empower the educators, they see it as personal and professional development. They start speaking the language, and it instantly transforms the culture into one of character and caring.
This business about being a human being sometimes can be very complicated, can it? Huh?
It can be, but you know, this is a simple reminder of who we really are.
It really is nice, and I really support this project, and I hope that it just goes gangbusters in schools and with people, 86 countries. That's doing pretty nicely.
Well,
yeah?
I'm really appreciative and grateful for your willingness.